huge. It's a giant barrier to accessing the supports, especially, if we talk about the missing women, things that could have saved their lives. As a couple of examples, victim services, there's victims compensation for people who've been the victim of a crime so that they don't have to go back to work immediately. It's only like $1,300 a month, but that's a lot more than $600 on welfare, right? The problem is you have to attribute your trauma to one event. So sex workers are too raped to qualify. And they also said that we were greedy and that we would just continue to collect that compensation as if we were undeserving of it somehow. That policy has not been changed. I tried for years to get them to work on that, but maybe it'll happen now that I'm on the task force, on the advisory on the implementation of those recommendations, but we'll see, right? Or when you're in crisis and you need to get into an emergency shelter, if you say you're a sex worker, the line of questioning changes immediately and becomes, do you have AIDS and are you on drugs? Did you know your attacker? As if that's relevant to finding someone a bed when they're in crisis. Do you know what I mean? And every non-sex working woman will get a bed before you. And you may not get one. You may end up out on the street having to defend yourself, you know what I mean? So that's just a couple of examples of how stigma plays its role. I remember, and then From the Curb, which was some research we did on violence and domestic trafficking, mostly as it relates to outdoor sex work. So workers talked about standing on the corner and people driving by and throwing things at them and hurling insults, and there's no difference to me from a truckload of good old boys in white hoods going to lynch someone and a group of teenagers getting in their dad's SUV to go downtown and throw things at crack whores. It's a hate crime, plain and simple. And there is that divide in Canadian society, One of the women even reported somebody throwing a beer bottle at her and losing part of her ear during an attack like that. And even more disturbing is that a lot of it, people reported that it was women who were doing it. So it's this hatred of sex workers. It really does play its role.